Hello there, thank you for taking some time to watch this video. If you haven't noticed, we live in a very chaotic time. Sadly, this is because we live in a truthless society. I'm not sure who said this, so you can just give me credit for it. Just kidding, that wouldn't be right. This person said, in a time of deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. It definitely is hard to find the truth these days. We are where we are as a society because we have neglected truth. We live in a world where everyone has their own truth. When everyone has their own truth, then truths clash, and unfortunately you end up with riots in the streets. We live in a postmodern and relativistic society. Postmodernism believes in no absolute truth, no absolute morality, and no absolute reality. Relativism believes that knowledge, truth, and morality exist in relation to culture, society, or historical context and are not absolute. So this is what we are fighting over. Who decides what is true for what period of time and in what culture? What we are seeing played out before us is what people believe to be true. And when people have no common truth to stand on, then we end up here. Sadly, more polarized than ever. When you have a lot of common ground, you have a lot to stand on and things are stable. When you don't have much common ground, you don't have much to stand on and things are shaky. We must reestablish truth. We have neglected God and His Word. Charles Stanley put it this way: we are either in the process of resisting God's truth or we are in the process of being shaped and molded by His truth. We must reestablish the truth of God's Word in our lives. Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. We have the same problem since the fall of man in the garden. Adam and Eve wanted to establish their own truth. Today, we are no different. We want to determine truth. In Ephesians 6, starting in verse 10 through verse 18, Paul talks about the armor of God. And in verse 14, Paul writes about the belt of truth. It is the very first piece of God's armor that must be put on because it all starts with truth. Truth is the foundation. Truth is what we stand on. In verse 10 through 13, Paul writes about spiritual warfare. He talks about rulers, principalities, and rulers of darkness. When Paul wrote this, he was talking about origins. These rulers, principalities, and powers of darkness are trying to convince the world of a different origin than God. So we must put on the belt of truth and the armor of God because we are fighting rulers, principalities, and powers of darkness over truth. All of the fighting that we see in the world is over what is true. All of the fighting that we see in the world today is ultimately over truth. This looks like which is true, creation or evolution. What is the definition of marriage? About abortion, and do we really need religion? Just to name a few. We are fighting over truth. We honor preference over truth or show dishonor when someone else's preference doesn't line up with what we believe to be true. We believe in ideology above integrity. The end goal is justified by the means to get there. George Braque put it this way. I think he's French, so I'm not sure if that's correct how you pronounce that. He put it this way: truth exists, only lies are invented. We must desire truth above all else. John 8:32 puts it this way: you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. We must reestablish God's truth in our lives. Gandhi put it this way: an error does not become truth by reason of multiplied propagation, nor does truth become error because nobody sees it. And I'll leave you with this from Dutch Sheets. Let it be said of our generation that when a nation teetered on the edge of destruction, Having lost the ancient path of truth, we answered the divine call to war for its restoration. Thanks for watching and have a wonderful day.